Okay, so today we're going to be learning how to wash makeup brushes. The items that you're going to need, I have two choices. I have Palmolive antibacterial, or you can use the Dawn Ultra. Either one doesn't really matter. It's pretty much based on your preference. I have the olive oil. I have rubbing alcohol, 91%. I have my dirty makeup brushes. I have a washcloth, a towel that we're going to use to sit the items on to dry them, and a bowl that I'm going to use to make like a little mix with my soap and the olive oil in here. It makes it easier because you can just dip it in here, swivel the brushes, and then this is like a little scrubby pad that I have. That's if the palm of your hands isn't doing it enough, you can use this with the griddles on it to help you, to help get it done a little faster. So let's get started. First, I'm gonna add a little bit of hot water to the bowl. I'm gonna go with the Dawn Ultra. You can even mix the two. It doesn't really matter. But for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna mix both of them. I'm really gonna mix it for the simple fact that this one, the reason I really prefer this over the Dawn is that it has the antibacterial stuff in here. So it helps a little bit more, especially when you're washing your makeup brushes. And then I have the olive oil. Just a little bit, depending on how many brushes you're going to be washing. And this is what the base of the little soapy concoction look like. Then what I'm going to do first is I'm going to rinse these brushes out just to get like a little bit of water on there. When you wash it, try to avoid getting the handles wet, which sometimes that's gonna happen. That's fine. Just be a little careful how you do that. Just gonna get them all wet. I'm also gonna be washing a beauty blender. You can get that wet. And you just have the water on warm while you just wet the bristles a little bit. So that way, before you put it into the soap, it's already damp. Okay, so now that we got them damp, I'm gonna take this, dip it in the thing, and go around in like a circular motion. And while you're doing that, you're actually gonna see all the makeup product come out of the brush. I do circular motions and then squeeze like this. The more you do this, you're gonna kind of see that the product is coming out of the brush. So what I like to do is get all my brushes soapy at one time. So I do all my wash and all the rinse at one time. Makes it easier. And you just keep repeating this process on all your brushes. Some of them may require you to do a little bit more. And then if you put your hands like this and do this, it's a cheaper version than having to use the pad. Either way works, whatever makes you comfortable. A lot of times I prefer just doing it like so. And this is my foundation brush, so it's going to have a little bit more stuff going on. The small ones, if you're comfortable, I do one or two at a, 2 or 3, how much ever makes you comfortable at a time. The smaller brushes are a little bit easier to do. And instead of doing them one at a time, it's just better to just do it at a, you know, grab a few. Like I said, it's just repetition. Getting that soap in there. Making sure all the stuff come out. Doing this occasionally just to make sure that there's nothing else left in there. You see how dirty that is? This one is extremely dirty. And just keep doing it. So, like I said, some of your brushes are going to require a little bit more work to get rid of that makeup. Just keep in mind that if it's a brush that you use a lot, even though you know it's clean and you washed it a couple times, the makeup is still, it's going to be stained in there, but it's not going to be, you know, it's still going to be a washed brush, but because if it's a brush that you use a lot, eventually the makeup, you know, it kind of stains the brushes a little bit, but you'll be fine. This is how that looks. Dirty. Scrub, 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 scrub. And guys, washing makeup brushes is like my least favorite thing at times, because this is actually not a lot of brushes, but it takes a lot of work when you have a lot. You see how that looks with the soap being out. This is like a brush I use a lot, so it still has a little bit of stains in there. These are brushes that I just used today, so it's not, they won't be as, the makeup won't be as packed in. What I do with my beauty blender is I roll it around. These you kind of like squeeze, keep squeezing it out to get the makeup out of it. Another trick that I do sometimes is I'll just have it sit in here while I take care of the other brushes. Every now and again I may, you know, rinse my hand just to get rid of some of the, you know, some of the soap. Just so y'all can see. And you know, you just keep, while you're washing it, you kind of like, you know, forming back the brush into its natural form. And once again, you're doing all this and still avoiding getting the brush itself wet, because you don't want that to happen. It's going to mess your brushes up. And I have a different variety of brushes. Some of them are Amazon brushes. I have some Real Techniques. I really love those because it's really easy to clean. But like I say, the time it takes to clean the brushes is really going to depend on how long the brushes has been sitting there with the makeup in it. There's times that I go 2 weeks, because I have a lot of brushes, so I'll go 2 weeks without even doing a brush wash. And those are a little bit more tricky to get out, because the makeup has, the foundation and everything was sitting in that brush for a longer period of time. But, see that? Clean brushes. And we just gonna keep repeating the process until they're all nice and clean. A lot of times I'll switch in between the palm of my hands and this little pad thing right here, because a lot of times the palm of my hands, it starts like itching because you're doing a lot on it. So I'll like keep swapping it out. Like I said, the small brushes are like the easy ones to get done. We have a few more. Just a few more. I love doing the small brushes because you can grab 2, 3 at a time and be over with it. This is like the least amount of brushes I've ever washed. And if you start getting into a groove, even the big ones, like these aren't that big, but they're like medium size. I can get away with doing a bunch of those at a time also. Washing makeup brushes is like therapy, guys. It's a little time consuming. And this is the beauty blender that we're gonna, and what I also do with the blender sometimes is after you kind of rinse some of it out, you just, you know, have it under the water because you want to get all that soap out. You see how much soap is in there? So this little bit that's left, I hold on to this just in case while I'm rinsing out the brushes with the soap that I have to go back over them with, you know, with some more soap or something. So what we're gonna start doing, and this part of the tutorial, when you start washing the brushes, like rinsing them out, the handle is gonna get wet because you're gonna have soap on there. Don't stress too much, you know. Just always keep that brush facing downwards because you don't want it like this. You want it like this. And you're gonna try to, you know, dab all that water out there. While you're doing that, you're still going in that motion, rinsing the brush out, and keep squeezing it like this. The more you do like that, it helps get the soap out. And you see how clean that brush looks? And then you just put it back into shape. But we're going to repeat this step for the rest of the brushes and get all the soap out. And this can be, you just wash them out, get the soap out, make sure the soap is off the handles. And when you rinse the soap out and everything, you just lay it on that towel that I mentioned earlier. And that's that. Once you start getting the hang of it, it goes by pretty fast. See? Look at these. Look how clean they look. Clean brushes. You just keep repeating the same process until all your soapy brushes are soap free. And I would say this was my first time combining the Palmolive antibacterial and the Dawn, and I have to say this might be my new thing because I don't have to go back over it. But like I said, it can also be because these were brushes that were used today, so the makeup haven't had a lot of time to sit, because when they sit, they're extremely harder to get out. Keep washing them. Get that soap out. You don't want to leave any soap in the bristles. No soap in the bristles. Like, these are my favorite brand of brushes. Real Techniques. Love them. And you can have your water on like medium heat. Depends on, you know, the temperature if you want to do it on. We're almost done. We have 3 more to rinse. And always keep them downwards. That way you don't get the water running in the handle of the brush that's going to cause them to be damaged. You see that? Look at that. Clean, fresh. Clean, fresh brushes. You're gonna have your makeup on fleek when you use these fresh, cleanly washed brushes. Okay. That's how that looks. And last but not least, the Beauty Blender. This takes a little bit more work because of the fact that it's a sponge. It takes a little longer because you have to keep squeezing until you don't see soap. These are a little bit harder to wash, but as you see how clean this is compared to earlier when I had the makeup on it. And I use these brushes and things for foundation, powder. Like I said, washing these things are time consuming, but it's better to do this than to use dirty brushes. You don't want to have breakouts and all that extra bacteria. Think about how much bacteria is in the brushes and stuff when you just keep using it over and over and over to put makeup on your face. So this little 15, how much ever minutes is worth it. Like I said, these take a little bit longer. A trick that I use is I'll take a paper towel and put it in there, because I feel like my hands by itself doesn't help me get everything out. So I'll take like a paper towel, put it in there, and help me use that to, you know, get that soap out. And this is your Beauty Blender. And rinse out all the stuff. This is like the little container that I use to put my dirty brushes in for wash day. Wash that out. We can get rid of this because we no longer don't need it anymore. Alright. And wash your equipment out. Okay, so this is the towel. I have the towel right here with the brushes on it. So the next step, we're going to take that washcloth and put as much, 1 second guys, just got some stuff into my laptop. Okay, we're going to take as much or as little as you want, put it on there. Take the brush and use it to clean the handle of the makeup brush. That way, if you guys remember, we only use the soap for the bristles, not the handle. So this is going to help take off whatever leftover makeup that you may have had on there while you were using it. After doing that, you kind of just fluff your brush out and lay it on the other side of the towel so it can dry. With this method, you can also use 2, 3, small ones at a time. Remember to fluff out your brushes. It's just getting that alcohol. And you can use any percent rubbing alcohol. I just prefer the one with the higher percentage. That way it can really sterilize it.